nonprofit engaged in the production and distribution of independent digital black media. Find out more by going to blacktalkradionetwork.com or blacktalkmediaproject.org and look for the menu tab, Crowdfunding Black Media. Black Talk Media Project, helping to provide you with new black media for the new millennium. And opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium. Good afternoon. You are tuned in to Black Talk Radio News. My name is Scotty Reed, broadcasting from behind the enemy lines of USA Inc. It is a Thursday afternoon as I broadcast from this beautiful day here in the western part of North Carolina, still remembering those who were impacted so negatively by Hurricane Matthew. I actually heard a conversation last night on the Lotus Place, and they were talking about Haiti. I'm sorry if I don't know how to pronounce it the way that the natives of Haiti pronounce the name of their country, but most people know it by Haiti. So we know it was devastated, and the Haitian people have been saying, do not give money to the American Red Cross if you want to help the Haitian people. Last night on the Lotus Place, I think it was mentioned that Usain Bolt has set up a nonprofit to help build homes, some foundation that he has, or expanding on his current foundation's work to provide, but it is documented. Credible news reports came out how the American Red Cross misappropriated the hundreds of millions of funds that were donated by individuals, by corporations, even by governments. And I've talked about how a member of the New York Giants professional football team had built 54 homes himself. So the American Red Cross has yet to give account. So, but it was brought up last night about these weather machines that it has been alleged for over a decade. I can remember seeing conversations about these weather machines. And when you think about the science, it isn't that hard. They figured out, if they can figure out how to open up wormholes, which I was reading an article, I think Ross posted to BTR community.com. Shout out to Ross. But if they can open up wormholes, then how difficult is it for them to make rain or make storms? And we know they've been practicing with it under the guise of agriculture for drought-prone areas. So it's not so far-fetched out there. Just because you don't hear about it on mainstream media doesn't mean that the science isn't there, that these people are dealing in conspiracy theories. No, they're just offering up different perspectives and providing you with evidence and to persuade you to either believe it or you don't. So theories are just theories. You can either provide evidence to support theories, or you provide evidence to disprove them. And just calling somebody a conspiracy theory does not disprove the theory. So check out the Lotus Place. They on every Wednesday night, live at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Last night was a number of good programs on. All the programs I feel are good on Black Talk Radio on this station. But sometimes, people just get deep. Now I'm thinking about the Code Breakers that was on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I was like, man, this seems like an interesting topic. So I engineered the program and they got deep with it. What does it mean to be black? Where did these terms come from? What are these classifications, designations? Lots of constructive conversation was going on Code Breakers the other night. So today is actually open forum, but we are going to be joined by a regular contributor, Brother Kwabena Rasuli of Clear the Airwaves Project. He should be joining us here in just a bit. I may have to give him a ring. I'll check my messages and see what is what. Well, actually, I'll just give him a ring. But we'll give him a ring if he doesn't call in first. To the studio line, Brother Rasuli, that's 704-951-5030. And while I'm talking about telephone numbers, might as well give out the conference line number as well. That is 641-715-3660. The participant code is 549032#. Hit *6 and 1 to comment on air. It's right there on the screen for you. If you're listening in to the station from YouTube on the live stream, or if you're on Black Talk Radio or TuneIn doesn't allow us to put that much information. So no, it doesn't have the conference line. But again, I'll give it out again. 641-715-3660. Participant code 549032#. And that's *6 and 1 to comment on air. So we can open up the floor. Of course, with Brother Rasuli, we're talking about clearing the airways. What airways are we talking about? We're talking about the FCC licensed public terrestrial radio airwaves. If they had to get a license from the federal government and supposed to, and note the key word is supposed to adhere to a set of broadcasting standards, which they're not, and they're playing all this harmful killer radio as the upcoming or ongoing campaign to turn off killer radio, and Brother Rasuli will be talking to us about that. So those are the airways that they're talking about, that I'm talking about. It's just too much harmful media out there. Can we point to just the filthy music and violent music that's coming across these FCC licensed stations that are owned by iHeart Radio, aka Clear Channel, or anybody else? So, we're not saying that that's the sole reason for the problems, but it is a variable in the problem. There's a number of things, a bunch of different ingredients, how certain communities end up a certain way. Doesn't mean it's happening in every city or every person who listens to that filth. Doesn't mean they'll act out those behaviors, but science, let's talk about the science again, has proven that it does impact a significant number of people, especially young people. When you glamorize violence and make it seem heroic to be killed during a gang war where it's non-white people, oftentimes black people, fighting other black people over the illegal markets of the streets, that second economy when they shut you out, the quote unquote mainstream economy where you got to eat, so I understand why you're doing it, but I don't understand the killing. So it do play a role in the mindset. It is like a soundtrack to their life. I've been there. I've been a young person, believe it or not. I wasn't, didn't come out the womb at 49 years old. So I've been impacted by it. That's why I know it's something to the science. But it was at certain points that I realized, hey, this is influencing me to have this negative viewpoint that I can't see in my behavior. But a lot of people, it's too late for them. I'm talking about the young people. That's why they engage in it more than you see older people. Unless we're talking about political gangsters. Now, they're waging, global campaigns of violence, overthrowing countries, calling it regime change and spreading democracies, and it's a bunch of bull. So let's not, make any mistakes. But we're trying to address people wherever they are, because what we see going on in certain areas in the United States is going on globally. Poverty breeds that second economy, and then people will fight for those few resources in that area, and then the government is the one that's bringing it in and facilitating it all. But yeah, so we'll be talking to Brother Rasuli about clearing the airways. We don't want to. Now, it's not to say we want to censor all music. You put out what you want on YouTube. You put out what you want in digital format through the internet. If people paying for it, like satellite radio or what have you, then yes, okay, that's not regulated by the FCC. So, but if it is regulated by the FCC, meaning it's publicly owned, supposed to be everybody's who paying taxes and everybody pay taxes, then we want them to adhere to community standards that's laid out in each community per the guidelines of the FCC. I don't think that's asking too much. And I would like to see more people take that more serious because, again, Malcolm X, media is the most powerful entity on the face of the planet. It controls the minds of the masses. So even if it's not controlling 90% of the people, 5% of 40 million or however many million of different demographics it is, 5%, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. So, otherwise, the rest of the program is open forum. There's a couple of articles that's been shared in BTR community.com. There was an article that I did not get to share because a lot of stuff ended up on the cutting room floor. But a couple of articles came out over the past several days about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, police using a CIA front company. This is a company founded by the government. That's not a stretch. They own a private prison plantation called Unicor. So yeah, they set up corporations. US Inc. sets up other corporations. So it's this one corporation called Geophedia, and it's tracking software, social media tracking software built especially for that. And local police departments have been using it to track activists, not terrorists, but activists in petty crimes, things of that nature, to keep feeding the system of slavery in this country. Shout out to the victims of modern day slavery that's on strike right now. Check out New Abolitionist Radio podcast from last night for more information on that. But these law enforcement officers, and Dave has talked about it, Fedbook as he calls Facebook, asking you, do you know so-and-so and all of this. I mean, there's been a number of stories where they're just asking for too much information, too much. But the local police in different areas was using the CIA created software to track activists. I mean, this is like COINTELPRO to another level. For those who don't know history, just Google COINTELPRO and find out why we got so many political prisoners today. By the way, I started a new group for political prisoners in the new BTR community.com subscriber-based community, social media community that we set up because of things like these news stories coming out. So you're tracking activists, and it was just confirmation of what I had said weeks prior, that if you're activists, and yes, you do want to utilize social media as a tool to get messages out to the masses. You do want to use the enemy's resources. But in terms of your private communications, no. And in terms of allowing them to geo-track your movements, no, you got to turn that stuff off. If you're going to use it, you got to turn that off. And so there was another article that came out just yesterday One of the members of BTR posted, said that now Facebook, after this story came out, Facebook and Twitter and the other company said that they was no longer going to, they were going to disable, let me use their words, they were going to disable Geophilia, that software from operating on their platforms. And see, that is why I was having a conversation with different members of BTR community about why I do not want to enable certain features that give you a back door. It opens up a back door between platforms to exchange information. So that's a two-way street. So that's why I didn't activate the Facebook back door or the Twitter back door. Now, I was giving some thought to the Twitter, but now that they've been named and it's working on Twitter, because I was like, well, Twitter, you really don't give them a whole lot of information, and they're not really asking you who you know and what's your family member's name. It ain't that deep like Facebook is. But since they've been named, I'm going to have to do some more research on this. But again, as a media organization, we have to utilize those outlets so that we can then recruit people to come to safe spaces for them to organize, because we don't data mine, we don't serve you up any ads to pay for the platform, and hopefully so much more. We have a $24 a year subscription, $5 a month, even down to $1 a week. We've seen some black movements in the past fund their operations by just people giving small amounts of money, but more and more people, and that adds up for a budget. Marcus Garvey and others, many others, selling newspapers, Black Panthers. So that's why we don't have to rely on ads on that social media network. But that story did reinforce what I had been saying and my concerns. Looks like we do have Brother Kwabena joining us. Brother Kwabena, greetings.
Greetings, brother. How are you?
I'm doing the best I can under these terroristic conditions.
Oh, right on, brother. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's almost like the same greeting every 2 weeks when we speak, isn't it?
Yeah, I do believe in, we got a independent black radio station called The Context of White Supremacy, the COWS for short. And that's one thing that do get reinforced to anybody who listens to the show or the podcast is the correct usage of words. And just being honest. And I would laugh when, anybody asks Gus that, he would be, I'm doing right poorly. How you doing? I'm doing poorly. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's like, he just being truthful and honest. So I'm being honest when I say I'm doing best I can. I'm doing better than some behind these enemy lines, but, I'm doing the best I can. I'm still under terroristic conditions.
It's best to be truthful, brother. That's what we That's why we do what you do. That's why we appreciate Black Talk Radio and the information that you share with the people. And I was just listening to your plea for support and resources, and I got to do better with that too, man. And I'm pledging right now that when we get off, I'll give you a call. We can make some arrangements on this end to support a little bit better and to share the information about this so necessary independent news. I mean, political prisoners. I mean, people are doing things about political prisoners right now, talking about it. We see the dude that tried to assassinate the president is out, and we got so many political prisoners, man, who, if it wasn't for them, this dude might not even be in office right now, and they're still locked up.
Right.
No, I mean, you guys put up that great information, man. We got to do something better.
And I'm, now that I have you on the line, and I thought about it twice, and now this is the third time I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that open call out there to any serious activists out there that's utilizing Facebook. And don't say y'all ain't been using it to talk about the protests you're going to or the planning meetings, and you're doing that in your private communications. And all these news reports keep saying that Facebook is a place that facilitates law enforcement and just the whole COINTELPRO again to throwing back to political prisoners. Just really think about how they're operating now with this technology. So without rehashing everything that I said, if I know you are activists, or you can provide me with some kind of credentials that you have a registered nonprofit, and you're into organizing, Black Talk Media Project will subsidize a free membership to this Black Talk Radio BTR community.com, where your communications like that can be secure, because there is a need for cross country communications. So we understand that, and they make it so easy. Well, it's not that hard on BTR community. So, Brother Rasuli, if I haven't already sent you a membership invitation, we'll get you set up. And any of the other organizations, the heads of them, will get you set up, and y'all can verify y'all members. But hey, if y'all out there and y'all have the resources, it's just $24 a year. It's worth joining to contribute. But I'm concerned for the safety of y'all when we getting stories out of different states of activists being killed and found burned up in cars. You can't dismiss anything. So I'm just putting that out there. Can't organize the revolution on the enemy's platform. Brother Kwabena.
Right on, Scotty. I'm with you, man. Right on. I appreciate you, man, and we'll look forward to getting that again. You know, we're gonna pay for this membership, and but also share that invitation with others who we know struggle financially to make that happen, man. And the rewards will be there. The rewards will be there.
So we've talked about it in the past. Is it ongoing now, or is it a certain date when we want the Black community to turn off the killer radio?
Oh, we are there, brother. It's like October 15th is the day. Turn off killer radio. We need people around the country to turn off killer radio. We need people with any influence on your children, on your grown sons, daughters, cousins, nephews, to ask them to turn off killer radio beginning. They could have turned off already, but beginning October 15th and beyond. That's what we're asking the people to do. But at the same time, we are demanding that these radio stations and their financiers, their corporate sponsors, remove their commercials from these radio stations. October 15th, we got brothers and sisters in different organizations working with the Clear the Airwaves Project all around the country. Brothers and sisters in Atlanta, in Gary, in Chicago, in Detroit, in New York, in Philadelphia, St. Louis, and other areas are mobilizing, are getting together at mainly McDonald's. That's our first target in terms of sponsors. They are the biggest sponsors of this poisonous, killer, death music that are constantly being played on these radio stations. And so this is where we're at, brother. And, you know, thanks a lot to Black Talk Radio and the ability to be able to share this information with the people every other week. Is one of the things to make this happen. So, but we still need warriors out there. We still need more cities to come in, because this attack on our youth, on our children, on our culture, on our people is going on throughout Babylon.
Yes, and I just want to play devil's advocate for a moment, because there's always those doubters out there, or those who will say, well, you can't do this or you can't do that, because they're looking at it from Goliath's perspective, so to speak, for lack of a better example. But they're looking at this giant, and they're looking at the billions of dollars in resources that they have and the political influence that they have. And so we sit back and we don't organize en masse, because we already have lost the battle in our mind. But if we did take on a mass campaign, and it's sometimes as simple as, like Brother Kwabena just said, turn off the radio. For how many days? A week, Brother Kwabena, just for that day, for a week. We hope you turn it off, and turn it off permanently, because if you're listening to this station, you have access to the internet, and there's lots of good music that's out there. Brother Kwabena actually hosts a radio program that features a lot of that good music. So we don't want to hear the excuse about, well, there's no good music out there, or we don't want to hear about, well, sex sells. Well, we're talking about FCC licensed public airways. And can we not at least hold the line on that Brother Kwabena?
We must, yeah, we must hold it on that. Sex sales, yeah, sex sales on porno, sex sales, with all sorts of industries and prostitution. So do we have our children exposed to all that? No, and that's what they're doing on these radio stations. And so, yeah, brother, you're right. This is a Goliath, man. This ain't, we understand the expanse of this industry, and we understand what their goal is and why they're doing that to us. Why else would you do something as barbaric as have on radio stations in areas where people are being shot at the rate of over 11 a day, and on the radio stations play songs telling them to kill each other, disrespecting their women, telling them to be drunk and high all the time. And that's the norm. So we know it's very important that to them that they keep this on us, but it has to be more important for us to protect our children and put an end to this crap. And we can and we will. We look at a couple of examples. We had Brother Cassius D. He's with the Universal Zulu Nation, even with all the issues they're having right now, but he was with us last night at a BLM meeting in Gary, and he talked about a fight we had over 10 years ago with the tobacco industry. They were using hip-hop under the DJ Cool Mix contest in the Chicago area and around the country to try to get more new smokers. And we defeated them. We whipped them. And, Brown and Williamson Tobacco Company went under. They were sued. Of course, the tobacco industry still reigns, but in that particular battle, we whipped them.
Yeah, in that context.
From several states, huh?
Yeah, I'm saying that particular attack that they was using, that weapon that they were using or attempting to use, because I look at it in terms of being on the battlefield. You have different types of weapons on the battlefield. And so if you could take out, let's just call it a truck that's coming to the community at a convenience store with cartoons painting on it and trying to what would I say, assimilate the culture and then put this bad element of promoting tobacco to the youth into it. We have to shut that kind of stuff down immediately. And so there has been successes throughout history, but it doesn't get told because mainstream media, again, corporations stick together when it comes to that money thing. And so, but it is possible. Like, for example, I've signed a petition. The DEA tried to list this member of the coffee plant. This is a member of the coffee plant. It's called Khartoum or something. It's a plant that they grind up. I don't know how they use it, whether they put it in tea and drink it, but they use it in Indochina, I would say, or whatever country, Thailand, I think it was, and some other countries where this plant grows naturally. So they use it over there as an energy drink type thing, or it also helps you deal with pain like arthritis, back pain, people who had that. And then it also said it helps some people relax. So people here in the United States have been using this to wean themselves off of heroin and other opioids. They found that it's easing the withdrawal symptoms and helping them give it up altogether. So the DEA, just in an arbitrary move, ignoring U.S. law and procedure, said we just going to have an emergency session and saying we going to ban this. So that means more people being arrested for this and part of the whole drug war, just expanding it like that. So I had signed this petition. Now, most people think, well, nothing will come of it. But anyway, it went to one of the senators in North Carolina. I put in my little comments and view on the drug war and connected it to the drug war. Plus, he had that with the people who wrote on the petition, and they, wrote out what they were protesting pretty well and laid out the scientific evidence and all the facts. And so I got an email from him yesterday, Tom Tillis, a Republican here in North Carolina. Doesn't mean I'm going to vote for him, but he seemed to have been persuaded by the argument. So he and another senator sent a letter to the DEA and told them to reconsider their move and that it violated U.S. law. And I'm paraphrasing what he said, but it violated U.S. law. And he also called what they did was draconian. That's what they use to describe tyrant-like moves. But anyway, this was a criminal move to criminalize a member of the coffee plant. A member of the coffee plant. If you don't have a whole bunch of people ODing off of this, and there's actually no proof, they basing it off of 15 people in a 10-year period OD'd on this, but they had other drugs in their system as well. Maybe they was trying to wean themselves off of some heroin, and that's why you also found it in their system. So they're using that out of millions of people, and not to forget the indigenous people in that part of the world been using it for hundreds of years without fatalities and what have you. So that again just shows that, and I think that DEA in their letter, Ross shared an article in BTRcommunity.com from a report from NPR saying that they got over 30,000, was it 20,000, 30,000, 40,000? It was 20,000 or more phone calls on this move, and it made them, to quote a rapper, back the hell up. So that I use that example to say that cleaning up your local community airways is not an impossible task if you just use the tools and just make your voice known. And don't be begging them, but cite be codified, cite the laws like Clear the Airways projects and other activists do. They point to the FCC's own regulation that they're not enforcing. So don't feel like that this is an impossible task. And if you really care, if you really want to address what racists call black on black violence, then help clean up the airways, and then let's see what impact they have on any violence, even though there's other variables, but we'll see what impact. But I mean, why would anybody want the public airways polluted like that? Brother Kwabena, I ain't mean to preach, but you have anything to add?
Man, you're keeping it real, man. And, why would anybody want to allow that to happen? I mean, this stuff is embarrassing. And we always say it's not only embarrassing to listen to, it's embarrassing that we have not recognized previously to put a stop to this crap properly. So that's what we're doing now. It's nationwide. And brother, the other example is you guys had her on the radio. I just mentioned again with our late brother Kwabena Harris helped organize and inspire him to stop this tobacco industry and this attack on our youth. But you talked to Reverend Sarah Rivera of the Interfaith Council, her along with 219 Light and Black Lives Matter of Gary, Northwest Indiana, stopped. We stopped GEO Prison, the second largest private prison corporation in the world. We put a stop to them trying to build in this lowly, struggling city of Gary, who a place that needs jobs, is suffering. We put a stop. Had a 9-0 vote when it finally came to their senses on our city council that you can't come here. The mayor was supporting them at first. She changed her mind when we put all that information out there. So these people can't be beat again. Music industry, and we know that music is culture. It defines the people's way of life. And if every time our children tune into a radio station, their grandmothers, their mothers, their aunties, their big sisters are being called B's and H's, that's not right. And we know that 90% of the time when our children tune to these radio stations and the songs, multiple N-bombs are being dropped on. Being called Nigger or A, or however you want to call it. It means I hate you, I hate your family, so I will kill your family. I don't care how your mama feel about it. I don't care if it's your baby. I don't care if it's if it's a 63-year-old granddaddy sitting on the porch in Chicago with his 3-year-old grandson. I will shoot him in the neck, and he will lose his life. I will shoot over 11 people every day because I don't care about y'all because y'all ain't nothing but ends. If the music is telling us constantly that's what we are, this is what we have. There's no surprise. If the music is telling these police or these Europeans who they say listen to more rap music than we do, and they do consume a lot of it, it's just telling them that the black people around them is killers and will shoot you in your back and will rape your women, drug rape your women. How do you think they're going to act when the police sees some brothers running or threatening, pulling up their pants? Why do you think they're going to act like that? So this plays a role in all of that. And like you said, once we get this out of that equation, that death equation, they're going to try to reformulate it to put something else in there to continue this fratricide or this humanicide, as our brother Hunter Adams, neurosciences, just shared with us the other day. They might try to put something else to make this humanicidal equation still equate to more killing and humanicide. But we're saying you got to do that then. But we're going to get this out of the equation, this killer, blatant killer music. We're going to get that out of there. And once we get it out of there, Brother Scotty, we were just telling the sister the other day, she's a sociologist out in Atlanta that's working with us. We were like, yeah, you all come in. You working now, but you're going to need all the counselors, the sociologists, the psychologists, the doctors, and just the people to come in and start deprogramming our youth from the...
You just gave me an idea, Brother Kwabena. Okay, I'm not going to say the person's name because then people accuse me of throwing shade, but I had done something directed at the White House, and I asked this person to get involved, and they did the least that they could do. But then they came out with their own letter to President Obama, CEO of USA Inc., and had all these different celebrities sign this letter to address mass incarceration when I called it slavery. But you just mentioned, what about such a letter to Tom Wheeler at the FCC and all the other chairmen of the board?
Commissioners?
Yes,
yeah,
commissioners. And we get sociologists and child psychologists and everybody else, because there's a lot of science that shows, people have done these studies that shows the impact of media. That's why you have, I think it's called a Parents TV Foundation or something like that. Media Justice. I get emails from them, Media Justice Center, that address these issues. But like the Parents Television Council, they were more focusing on the impact of media on white females, teens, and sexualizing them.
The National Conference of Black Psychologists just met in D.C. Some of the brothers who were in there are comrades of ours. But that's so important, man. They could have took like a half-hour session and put together that letter, and they signed it and had other psychologists sign it and send it to Tom Wheeler, CC all the rest of the commissioners. We just met with the National Conference of Black Lawyers, last Saturday, and we presented there on this ratchet music. And there's just so much that can be and needs to be done, bro, but that's an excellent idea to get that letter to the Federal Communications. And just like we got on our Now Protest app, do what you're supposed to be doing. Follow your own policies. It says that profane and indecent content cannot be aired on air between the hours of 6 and 10, and obscene content can't be aired at any time. Just do what your policy says and start finding these fools and demanding that they stop doing that to our children. I want to make another point, too, about this whole Donald Trump.
Brother Kwabena, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm overdue for a break. And we'll come back and get your point, and I'm going to let the caller know I see you. We'll come to you after Brother Kwabena finishes his thought on Donald Dump, as I think that's what Dave calls him. But you are listening to Black Talk Radio News. If you would like to ask a question and add to the conversation, the telephone number is 641-715-3660. The participant code is 549-032#. Hit *6 and 1 if you would like to be heard. And we'll be back on the other side of this break. And also to remind you that the crowdfunding Black Media campaign has been updated, and you can find out more information about that on blacktalkmediaproject.org as well as blacktalkradionetwork.com. So we are talking to Brother Kwabena Rasuli of Clear the Airwaves Project about clearing the airwaves and a campaign to turn off killer radio. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more from Brother Rasuli and your calls.
The Black Talk Media Project funds the use of new media technology in efforts to restore independent Black voices to the myriad of issues affecting Afro-descendant people all over the planet. If media can control the minds of the masses, as Malcolm X once said, then you must ask yourself, Who is in control of the media targeting the masses of Black people today? Help bring back independence, self-determination, and respect for Black culture in the production of global media by joining the effort to crowdfund new Black media for the new millennium. Visit blacktalkmediaproject.org for more information on how you can invest in public Black radio for the masses.
And welcome back to Black Talk Radio News. My name is Scotty Reed, broadcasting from behind the enemy lines of USA Inc. If you're unfamiliar with that term, just Google it, USA INC, US Inc. We're talking to Brother Kwabena Rasuli of Clear the Airwaves Project about an upcoming campaign, Turn Off Killer Radio. And in addition to that, he has some other thoughts. Brother Rasuli, you have some thoughts on Donald Trump. Okay, Brother Rasuli.
Yeah, I'm here, brother. Apologize for that. Just with the lewd comments and misogynistic comments that he made last week. Well, he made the comments 10 years ago, but I guess they, if you can say this, unintentionally got out last week, and they were really, really crazy comments, what he said. But we've been sharing this, and others have been sharing it too, that pales, as horrible as that was, that pales in comparison to what our children are intentionally exposed to constantly, 24/7, 365. Our women, our little girls, our children are exposed to the same old lewd type of behavior, misogynistic behavior. It even goes to encouraging them to be strippers, to be drug addicts, drug slangers, and to shoot and kill each other. And it's done on purpose. So we're all up in arms about what you're calling Dump said. What about what is being said to African children on purpose, intentionally?
Brother Rasuli, you're making a point that I can connect to what was stated on one of our media partners' program. Shout out to WCLM. I think it's 1440 AM in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Shout out to the station owner there, where Tanya Free and Friends also broadcast, and we carry their show. But yesterday, a member of her panel, this brother said that they're really up in arms because Donald Trump has assaulted the virtue of the white woman. And that you look at how Michelle Obama was mistreated, even though she's classy and she dressed like a lady, and she's an educated woman, doesn't have this background of stripping. And I'm not trying to body shame anybody out there, because I know some people are sometimes forced into these things through poverty, and then it's programmed into them to do these things because of the music. So I'm not judging anybody or anything like that. So, but I mean, he said that's what it is. So they don't care if black children, black females, black women are assaulted daily with that type of lewd comments about them that actually does. If they talking about murdering, like you say, one of the lyrics talk about blow his face off or something like that, don't think they ain't bold enough to go there to talk about sexual assaults. And I think one time you was on, Brother Kwabena, there was a song out there they were talking about, and this was coming over the airwaves, running a train on a woman.
So there's a couple of them. There's a song with a rapper, they play it every day. Get that wholesome X, he gonna want to sex every N in the set. And X is ecstasy. And if you on that, you lost your mind, and then you get a train ran on you. And we asked a young brother about that at the junior high school last year. What if he knew the lyric? He said, "What if something like that happened to your mama? Just have a nice little time at a party. So what would you do?" And his answer was violent. His answer was simply, "It's killing time. It is killing time." Another song, another good comrade of mine who works with me, Brother Kojo, he has 4 daughters. There was a song out a couple of years ago by Big Sean, Kanye, who don't care about black people waste, and Slave Z, where they say, she want to give me the Poo-Tang, I'm going to let my crew bang, and my crew is as big as Wu-Tang, unedited on the radio, constantly. And so his response was, if that happens with his daughters, and his daughters is killing time again. So and because that's came up with this balance statement. We need to balance this. And I'm like, some of that stuff you cannot balance. Some of that stuff just should not be on the air. Get your whole MF and family should not be played on the radio. I'm gonna run up on the end squeezing should not be played on the radio, because the only way you balance those two things is retaliatory violence. So that some of that slated for that balance stuff in the case of a lot of this ratchet killer music on these killer radio stations. That's why on this coming Saturday, the 15th of October, we got Atlanta, Georgia, 3 to 5 at the McDonald's, which again is one of the major sponsors of this madness. They also invest in prisons. They also feed us poisonous food, but they also, again, sponsoring us or financing this killer music on these killer radio stations. But at the McDonald's on the south, on the west end, on Dr. Ralph Abernathy Street, who would most likely be out there protesting with us against this crap. So they're getting together there. We're getting together at the first black-owned McDonald's in Chicago on the corner of Marquette and Stony Island on the south side. That's at 11 o'clock on Saturday. In Gary, we're getting together at 10 o'clock at the McDonald's on 35th and Grant. We're encouraging our people all around the country, wherever you are, to stop supporting these people who sponsor us and kill us at the same time with support of this killer music. And we're asking the people, again, to turn off these killer radio stations. We need you to do that.
It's soundtrack to genocide. That's what it is, Brother Kwabena, a soundtrack to genocide. So the telephone number is 641-715-3660. Participant code 549032#. Hit *6 and want to comment on air. I'm desperately wanting to hear some of those people that they love to say, well, what about black on black crime? Well, what about this killer radio? See, because we can connect its source to racist, mostly white people, but it's proxy racism. But the people most responsible are these white corporations. And so what about them? So if you really act like you concerned about it, black lives or anybody killing anyone or anyone being sexually assaulted or raped or whatever, getting trumped, if you worried about that, then you need to recognize that this is a serious problem and you need to get involved. Again, all we're asking for is that they adhere to the rules and regulations, the community standards. So don't talk about a community's behavior when you stand by and allow these communities to be polluted. I think somebody called it ear porn or ear garbage or something like that. But let's go to this caller.
There's so many. Okay.
Yeah, area code 973. You're on Black Talk Radio News. Go ahead with your question or comment. 973, you might be muted. I've unmuted you, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Is this a New Jersey woman? I'm not going to call you New Jersey girl. You're a woman. So New Jersey woman.
Thank you so much, but we are referred to, they always say Jersey girls out here. It's okay. I know that I'm a woman, but that's our icon here in Jersey, how they distinguish us from New Yorkers. Okay. But anyway, I just want to say good afternoon to you, Mr. Reed, and good afternoon to your guests. It's Dr. Kwame, is it?
I call him Brother Kwabena.
Brother Kwame? Okay.
No. Let him tell you his name.
Okay.
Kwabena.
Sir? Hello?
Yes, he said Kwabena. He might.
Kwabena.
Yeah, Kwabena. Go ahead, sister New Jersey girl.
Okay, sir. Real quick question. I do a lot of analyzations and different things like that because my area is marketing. And I just like to know, with respect to like heavy metal music played in white areas, I know I can't fathom to listen to that music. It just 1 minute of it, I'm driving myself crazy. It just drives me crazy. Does it have the same effect on? Maybe I don't know if you just did research. Does it have the same effect, just like the music has effect on African American males? Not the music just being played on or airwaves that we want off. But I'm just thinking to myself, you hear, because you ever look at, sometimes they have clips of, the guys breaking their guitars and they're all surrounded by all these drugs. And do they have, are they experiencing the same problems with their music as well as, I mean, is the rate the same? I mean, have you just like, I just ask myself that question because I know they're white privileged. Don't think I haven't taken that out of the equation. I know they have their white privilege, so a lot of the stuff is dusted underneath the rug. They don't want it to come to the forefront. But have you done any? Have you seen any studies about that or anything like that? I'm just curious.
I'll let
not
Kwabena
much,
go
and
first.
don't really do too much on that end. People always bring up, what about heavy metal music and all that. And a couple concerts I've been to or seen when they smash their guitars, I kind of like it. I think that's kind of funky when they do that. But in terms of actually having songs about killing their own people and calling their people one of the worst words ever in the human language that was used to dehumanize us so people would be made to feel not guilty about killing us. And then I see the killings that are around me, living in a place called Gary, Indiana, right in the Chicagoland area, and I see so many years of this fratricide and humanicide, and I hear it in the music. That's what we're dealing with more so what mostly Africans listen to, the issue that's dealing with us. Now, sometimes we compare things like iHeart. A comparison that was done by this white preacher out of Jacksonville. They call him White Mike. His organization called Do Better Now. They did a study on iHeart in Chicago, and they found that this company owns the licenses, not the stations. The stations are owned by the people, but they own the licenses for 8 stations. They got one for young Europeans and one for young Africans. The one for young Europeans will give them one sexually explicit content in the music, while we get 25 on the one for young Africans. They get one violent song, while we get 50. So it's a 50-to-1 ratio on violence, and that corresponds to the people who are victims of these shootings and of these killings in Chicagoland. So we look at it on that level. But and other stuff we have, and I'm sure others have, but we just dealing with the issues that directly affect African people. And we know it's all holistic, but haven't done too much study on rock music and what they're doing.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on that as well. I would also put into the equation the fact, now I did come up, I was born in 66, high school in the 80s, and so that's when heavy metal music was popular, more popular than it is now. Hip hop is worldwide popular, heavy metal music isn't. But I do remember cases like the Columbine case. It was said that they listened to heavy metal music, and I think even 60 Minutes, they was examining the violent lyrics and what they were listening to. But you have to consider there's much more violent lyrics targeting Africans, showcasing Africans or black people, showcasing them, and it's more of that being produced than any heavy metal. See, Ozzy Osbourne had his day, and the Kiss and all of that music, that genre is not as popular and consumed as much as the others. So, like I'm here in North Carolina, when I spin through the radio dials, I'm hearing pretty much pop music. I might hear some cross hip hop or slap hop or killer music on the white station, but not as much. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so that's where you get I don't know these pop artists, but the Arianas or whatever, the Justin Bieber's and what have you. So, yeah. So I would say that's what I'm seeing in terms of programming here in North Carolina. So I would fall back on what Brother Kwabena said about what did you say the organization was that did a study and provided those statistical data?
It's called Do Better Now, and that's again they're out of Jacksonville, Florida, and they got like 17 Walmarts to take their commercials off the Clear Channel stations, and that's one of the reasons why we're going nationally with this. This stuff is affecting us all around the country. We got people in Florida who are dealing with the fact this sister from What Are Rhymes, she handles children who are prostitutes and also homeless girls, and she says it's the same equation as the music. And so that's when she got on this case with our brother Carvin out of Rage Against the Ratchet, and they formed What Are Rhymes, and so they dealing with it on that level. We got people all around the country dealing with this madness. There's a song out now called Broccoli, and broccoli is basically green, so it's about weed. But they talk about going off like Columbine in that song. This is like an elementary song, like for children. If you listen to the songs, like a nursery song, nursery rhymes, and the lyrics are so horrid. And it's called Broccoli. It's a top 10 song in the country for African children. That's what they play on the radio. This song that we always talk about now called Key to the Streets. Again, that's the song where they say, I got your H on a leash. They say it 3 or 4 times in the song. I'll F your H and pay her bills. 3 or 4 times in the song. And again, they finish up with chopper decapitate him, blow his face off, unedited, on the radio. On the radio.
Wow. You know, I'm really down with you because I mean, my daughter is 17 years old, and we don't play that stuff in here. I would never allow something like that to grace the radio station, grace my atmosphere here. You know, we play a lot of stuff from the 60s songs she'll sing to me rather than, you know, where men sung to women, men serenaded women. Women, they didn't call them witches and all these other things that they call them now. And I agree 100%. It is the only reason why I asked you about the heavy metal study is because the person who is into market research, I just wanted to know, have you just did any other studies to see how it affects just that's all. I'm sure, you know, I agree with you 100%. You're focusing on what's affecting our people, and that's very correct. But some people may come up to you and say, well, has the studies, what about heavy metal music? That hasn't really harmed, you know, or some, you know, how they try to give some feedback. But, I mean, the statistics are clear. I mean, you listen to these words, and I mean,
look at the biker gangs.
They allow these words in song. I cannot believe that they allow these words in song. When I hear them, I say to myself, if I grew up in this era, I wouldn't be the same person I am. I mean, I grew up, you know, looking at Batman, Superman. I mean, I grew up where there were family-friendly programs on television. We wasn't really concerned about always, I mean, we were looking good, of course, but everything was so focused on being so sexy and looking the best and all of these crazy things, and not like, right, what's in the heart? You know, what about your morals? What happened to all that? You know, that's like, you know, do you really care? You know, where's your moral value? Where's your moral compass? You know? So, I mean, these songs, it's just crazy, and I'm with you 100% about clearing these airways. Like I said, it does not come through this front door. That does, no. If I'm in a place where I see my little nieces and nephews, no, it's to me, when I hear it, guys, it just hardens my soul. It just crunches. I start cringing because I'm saying to myself, is this the way men think of women? I mean, it's a far cry from, what's that song, by the Temptations, My Girl? It's a far cry from songs like that. So, you know, so I'm with you, brother. I support whatever you guys are doing with respect to that. Matter of fact, I call also, and I'm going to hang up real quick and listen to you. There's a conference called State of the Black World that's going to be held in Newark, New Jersey, and I hope that I can, if they got literature, I can go online and print up some stuff to bring to the conference and let them know that's going on. You've heard of Dr. Daniels, have you? I know probably you have, Scotty. Have your guests also? I'm not going to say
we
you
have.
We
have, and the rest of the callers, I'm come to you. We have listed that event in BTRcommunity.com, so anybody can see the events, and we post it.
I'm going to be there. We're one of the people who are.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you. I was going to
ask you. So
if
I can do some literature to bring there, because I guess I'm going to be joining that community very soon, and I'm not calling for a handout. No way, $25 is a drop in the bucket, because there's a lot of people there, and I guess when I join, I wanted to talk to you about something. I'm doing some marketing for you, Scotty. You know, volunteering, just sending emails out, and I just want to make sure I would have your permission. So I'll get back to you on a later date on it. Okay, sir. But thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Okay, thank you.
Please check with us on clearairwaves@gmail.com. We're familiar with Ron Daniels and that event that's coming up, and we would love for you to be able to share some information about this Killer Radio, Turn Off Killer Radio issue, because that is so very important. I mean, that's part of the state of the black world, because you're right, this is a point now where our men hate our women. You know, we don't respect women, and why would I respect a woman? Why would I marry a black woman when every time I turn the radio on, I'm being told them H's ain't loyal? Well, you never cut that B off.
Well, Brother Kwabena, give out
the girl the strippers. Why would I respect the black woman? And that's what's being put in my head all the time.
Give out that email address again.
Clear Airwaves, as in ocean waves, clearairwaves@gmail.com. And also you can check us out on Clear the Airwaves Project on Facebook.
Soon to be BTRcommunity.com. We're going to take a station identification break as we're at the top of the hour, and we will come back and get these other calls. I do see all the callers. Please be patient with us. Of course, we're going to go over an hour today. To remind you, coming up at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on this station live will be Tando Radio Show, and then at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time tonight will be Blacks in Business Radio. So that's some of the live programming that we will be broadcasting today from blacktalkradionetwork.com, as well as on our YouTube channel, Black Talk Radio. Stay tuned. We will be back on the other side. The Black Talk Radio Network is made possible in part with help from the Black Talk Media Project, a North Carolina-based nonprofit engaged in the production and distribution of independent digital black media. Find out more by going to blacktalkradionetwork.com or blacktalkmediaproject.org and look for the menu tab, Crowdfunding Black Media. Black Talk Media Project, helping to provide you with new black media for the new millennium. You are tuned in to Black Talk Radio, new black media for the new millennium. And welcome back to Black Talk Radio News. Brother Kwabena, at any time you have to leave, I know you're busy, and I don't want to keep you from any work that you may need to do. So at any time, just let us know when you have to go. Otherwise, I want to go to this next caller, and that caller is area code 816. Go ahead with your question or comment about this topic we're discussing.
Yeah, peace to Scotty and Dr. Kwabena. I'm a first-time caller. I'm out of Kansas City, Missouri. I go by Lou. And
welcome,
I appreciate
Lou.
you, brothers. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, brothers, talking about this. I'm a black male, so-called black male. It's 25, and so I came up during the height of all this music that you guys are talking about right now. Of course, out of Kansas City, where I'm at, Missouri, they've kind of, for the most part, the last probably, I say 5 to 7 years, they've toned down on a lot of the rap that they do play on our radio station, so to speak. We don't have many radio stations, but they've quite a bit toned it down. So this content that you guys are talking about does not really get played. I don't know if it's because of their participation with other community groups or what, but it does not get played. It sounds like, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, keep speaking. Nobody said anything. Go ahead.
It sounds like, Brother Kwabena, am I correct? You out of Chicago? Am I correct, sir?
Yeah, I'm out of Chicago. Actually, I live in Gary, but it's all a part of the Chicago metropolitan area, like Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, almost.
Okay. Yeah, so that, and it's so interesting, because I still do listen to hip-hop. I'll be real with y'all, I listen to hip-hop. And the last 5 years, I guess that was called the term drill music, has come out of that area. And so, which is, I guess, even more violent in nature and just is very direct. And so, when I hear you talk about it, Brother Kwabena, the way you do and the things that get played on the radio, it does bring me pause. Even when I see the little documentaries that are done on those artists, I don't know if you've seen them, like some of the more notable artists that have come out of Chicago who are really popular with the kids. It is concerning to me because these children, it appears, who are doing these recordings have come out of some very bad situations, if not still in them. And they're just, their frame of reference and their frame of mind is just seems so warped, from everything that they've experienced. And so I wonder if maybe that is some of the difference in what I hear, the content, and what I hear from them, as opposed to maybe, some of the music, I was listening to or still do listen to coming out of the 90s and early 2000s of hip-hop and things of that nature. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the environment definitely plays a role. The fact that we have so much ingrained self-hate. We have lack of love because we don't know ourselves. That's one thing about hip hop. What it was doing, the rap music that was being played during the golden age of the mid to late '80s up until the mid to early to mid '90s, what we call golden age. I mean, I was DJing in college, man. I was playing stuff from. I mean, we would play back-to-back stuff from Poor Righteous Teachers, from Boogie Down Productions, from Public Enemy, from Paris and King's Son. And we're partying to all this music. It's telling us that we're African people and that we should be loving each other and we should stop the violence. And, you know, so this was during the time when the crack epidemic was going on, too, so we were dealing with that. But in terms of the music, nah, the music was, like, uplifting the people. And even in the poverty conditions that we were living under, the music was still pushing that love. And then when we had the rebellion in Los Angeles, after all the fratricide that was going on there between when I grew up in L.A., late 70s and 80s, with all the Pyru and Crip stuff, that kind of galvanized the people together, too. And that was part of that golden age movement of hip-hop. And so they said, oh, no, we got to do something about this. And so then it came the ratchet crap, which is what you were exposed to in the mid to late 90s and then beyond. And right now it is just totally out of control. And it's good to hear that Kansas City is standing up because we got some comrades in Kansas City, too, who are working with us on this National Black Leadership Coalition. And they're not going to have a demonstration, I don't believe, on Saturday, but we are in St. Louis because they still got the ratchet stations there. But yeah, that's beautiful that the Kansas City is saying, no, we ain't having that. Just like we found out about Young Slug when he said those stupid things about Mike Brown. St. Louis put a no-fly zone on him and told him don't come there, and I understand Kansas City did too. And they said Chicago did 3, but that fool been here about 4 or 5 times since then. But he did not come to St. Louis, and we heard Kansas City the same way. So, but this needs to be a national thing. One of the things the sister said before is that her and her daughter don't listen to this, and that's beautiful that you don't let your daughter listen to this crap in your house. But Common has a song with Robert Glasper where he says, not just my kids want the best for his. Not just my kids want the best for his. And so while we do what we should be doing with our children in a lot of cases, they're exposed to a lot of these other children. And not just like Kansas City may be doing what they're supposed to be doing, but nationwide exposure and promotion of that poison is everywhere. And so we still need to stay on point, and we need to make sure that this is not taking place anywhere in the African world, whether it is in the
Brother
United
Kwabena,
States or the Caribbean or wherever.
You know, what's also key here is that this campaign or the movement has not been asking for any new legislation. They ain't asking for any reform or enforce what's already on the books. Just enforce that.
Yes.
That's all they're asking for. Nobody's saying these people would be outlawed from producing the type of music they're producing. The ratchet record companies can steal if that's what they want their catalog to look like. They have the freedom of choice to do that. But when it comes to the terrestrial public FCC license Airwaves, enforce the regulations that's there. I just bring it back to that quite simply.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Scotty. I most definitely agree with that. I'm gonna be real, like I'm saying. I'm still trying to cut my consumption of some of that music down. It's not nearly as is stuff that's getting played now, but I'm trying to cut my consumption down because I do, the effects of it, like Scotty was saying, aren't all that hot. They do put you in a certain frame of mind. Even if you might be in that frame of mind, it makes you dig in a little bit more or feel like, okay, this is cool, but, like you were saying, there's something better we can feed our brains with, even though our environments aren't that hot, why not? So,
well, brother, we want you to to listen to, like I said, we do a conscious hip hop show where we play artists like D1, like Common, Public Enemy, who all still have great new music coming out, like Brand Nubian, like One Below out of Detroit, and Divine Karama out of Lexington, Kentucky, and Big Crit, and artists like that who put out, and Ciroc, who put out great conscious music. So, man, continue to listen to it, but just search out that conscious hip hop and this political prisoner who just passed last year, Abdul Rahman, out of Detroit. Mark Fancher, who was at this lawyers convention, he talked about his brother telling him about why he wasn't locked up. He had one of the young cats listen to some of this music, some of one of the violent songs, and he asked him, how does that make you feel? And the young prisoners just said, "It made me feel like killing somebody." So it plays a role. It affects us. It does. When I monitor that crap, man, I got to watch myself as a grown, middle-aged man. I'm mowing my lawn, man, thinking about some rhythm ratchet songs. One Sunday, I started off early Sunday morning. So what kind of crap they gonna play on Sunday morning? I'm listening to these stations on Sunday morning, man. I listened to this to it so long that my whole Sunday was messed up. So yeah, you got to watch your consumption of that poison, because it's poison. It's toxic poison that they're pushing in the minds of the masses of our people. Steve Biko said, "The greatest weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the minds of the oppressed."
Right. Well, caller, I want to thank you for your call. We got a couple more callers we want to get to so we don't run out of time, get them a little time. But did you have anything in closing you wanted to say?
No, keep doing what you're doing, Brother Kwabena. I guess I'll look you up online and see what you got going on here to clear the airwaves, see about that, and I appreciate it. Thanks.
Appreciate you, brother. We need warriors, man. Come on.
Yeah, and I note that was your first time calling, so call in anytime and weigh in on these issues so we can bounce these things around the community and come down with the most logical course of action to address whatever it is, any element of racism that we're trying to address. Let's go to 910. Thank you for calling in to Black Talk Radio News. You're on with Brother Kwabena Rasuli. Go ahead with your question or comment.
How you doing, Scotty? Peace, Brother Rasuli. This is Brother Zion calling from the 910. I just had a couple, comments I wanted to say. I remember when I was younger, growing up listening to NWA, and my father walked in, and he heard the lyrics, and he asked me, why was I listening to it? And, I told him, that's what's popping. This is the music. And, I remember him cutting it off, and he said something to me that, I had to grow up first to really hear it. And he said, Hitler said, you give me the music of the youth, and I'll control the world. And I think let me not say I think, I'm pretty certain that these record execs, almost make these stars put out this content to poison the minds of everyone, because if you already have everyone's attention, then you can just about say anything to these people, and they follow you like mindless zombies. And look at how the feminization of our black males with this dress attire now, with these skinny jeans and these tights, and I think it's all sadistic, and I think myself it's a plan, and everything is intentional, and ain't nothing coincidental or accidental about the content and the words that they say, like the brother said, how you feel when you heard that. I feel like killing somebody. A lot of that music, when that came out, cats lost their mind. And that's basically all I wanted to say.
Well, I think you think very deeply, and your daddy was right on point to share that what Hitler said. We knew it in the Civil Rights Movement. Our brother did the thing in Birmingham with the March on Birmingham and got on the radio and in the music. They knew it when they had made James Brown say it loud, I'm black and the proud, in the revolutionary times of the late 60s. So, and the powers that be knew it. They needed to counter that golden age of hip-hop that we talked about by downplaying a Kool Moe Dee who made Knowledge is King, and upplaying a LL Cool J who made So-and-so Got a Big Old Butt. So brother, you were so on point, man, and definitely get with us, man. We need warriors at 910. He said 910, and excuse me from our where is that?
I'm in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Oh, right on. Okay.
Yeah, I'm originally out of Cincinnati, Ohio, but I know that the content that they play on the radios in Cincinnati versus to what they play here it's almost night and day. Because I know when I go home and listen to the radio, man, they use the curse words and everything. And I mean, it could be 2:00 in the afternoon. Children could be
where can you be
in the
more
car with mom and
specific?
daddy.
Can you be more specific? Is that what you're hearing now in Fayetteville, or what you heard in Cincinnati?
like when I go home to visit, say when I went home 2 months ago, the content of the song, the same song that I would hear here in Fayetteville would be like the light version of that song. But I know in Cincinnati, what I've heard was like the just the hardcore version of that song, And I'm looking at the time like, this ain't Friday night. This ain't everybody out partying now. This is Tuesday afternoon, 2 o'clock.
Wow, wow.
It's just
The guy can do
appalling.
better now, Phil. The only time he can tune in the radio dial and turn it from the one end to the other, hit about 17, 18 stations. The only time you're going to hear somebody disrespecting or dropping N-bombs or talking about killing somebody is when it's a black station. And it's not just a black station, but a station for black youth. And just like that Hitler quote about the children, then you got rap artists right now calling themselves a Nazi. I'll get your whole MF and family.
Yeah.
I'm a Nazi. I hate ends. On the radio, top 10 songs. Bros, you know what it is, man. The joint, work with us, man. Work with us, We need some help. Need some help.
Sure, man. I'm a warrior, man.
Right on.
So,
Appreciate you, man.
All right, brother
all right,
Zion. Good to hear from you.
all right, brother.
We have another caller, area code 702. 702, you're on Black Talk Radio News with Brother Kwabena. Go ahead with your question or comment.
Hello, Brother Kwabena. Hello, Scotty.
Hello.
I just wanted to comment that it's not only, I felt like rap not only just affected me as far as like I definitely agree that, just the mindset is definitely warped, and like I'm actually in Central Ohio too, and so I definitely understand what the last caller was talking about and how like even when I do like Beyonce, some of her songs, especially Freedom, but like when the song that she performed at the Super Bowl came out here, it said, the part where it says, like, he F me good, I'll take him out to Red Lobster. They actually said F you on the radio, and it was in the afternoon. And I feel like when songs come out here, when they first come out, they don't do a good job of editing at all. And it's definitely concerned me. I don't have any kids or anything, but I do have young people in my family, and it was definitely horrible. And I was really surprised that they just let that slip by, and then eventually, like, I don't know if it took a week or whatever to finally catch up and actually edit it out, but I'm definitely seeing where it's like they're letting so much slip by, and even like in the morning, the Breakfast Club is syndicated here on one of our main black oriented or black targeted radio stations, and some of the stuff that Charlamagne the God says in the morning it definitely like puts me in a weird place, because it's like he's saying things to where it's either, I understand that that's his character, or out of the three of them, supposed to be like over sexualized, and even like the play relationship that he has with the other male host, and how it's supposed to be like a playfully gay banter back and forth. And it's like, this is stuff that our children are listening to, and it definitely puts me on edge. But it's not just the radio, but I actually stopped even watching music videos, because I felt like it's either in the songs, they're, like you said, they're calling us all types of bees and hoes and whatever other synonym they have for us. But then like in the music videos, it's like this unobtainable image that they want you to strive for, and it would actually really just intensify my self-hatred, because I wasn't like what these rappers were, which is something that, of course, like most young people, because I am pretty young, I'm in my 20s, but I just wanted to make that assessment, just to let you know.
Well, thank you for that assessment, and I think it is important, and I'm just happy that we've heard from some of our younger brothers and sisters today. So we've heard from like about 3 people who are in their 20s. So I'm glad that you all are attesting to what we're talking about, because some people think that we're crying wolf or something like that, but it is reason to pause for cause if you really pay attention to the lyrics. And we've seen the videos of little children. People will post their little children singing the lyrics to an inappropriate song. Well, that's because it's playing over the terrestrial public radio. Now, it could be that the parent is putting this on CD or, the other means, but still, it should not be played on public radio. And then I'm going to take it further, and I mentioned this before. It's been a while since my daughters were in high school, but I remember when they were playing sports, and even in junior high, I've went to basketball games, and they will be playing ratchet music in the gym for the middle school students. So, I mean, it even goes beyond the terrestrial radio stations. But, Brother Kwabena, I want to give you a chance to respond with our last caller.
Man, you reminded me of, and I'm glad the sister called too. And like you said, so many callers today in the youth, they know what's going on. They're tired of it. They know that stuff is embarrassing too. And again, it's up for us as adults. A lot of the youth, like I said, these younger adults, I mean, they're adults too. Just join this fight to get this crap off. It should have been off yesterday. Our goal is to get it off before the year's end. I referee basketball. I've been struggling with the school, many schools out here who play that ratchet crap. At a girls game, one day they were playing this poison, and we asked them to turn it off. They would not turn it off, so we went and pulled the plug. And it's a trip because the adults got mad at me. They got mad at us for pulling the plug, but the students, the children on the team understood. The children understood, but the adults were mad. Because so what? I don't care if you're mad or not. I told the principal, athletic director, the coach, take that crap off. Y'all want to take it off? We just pull the plug on it. So
because I don't think they want to be quoted in the paper defending that inappropriate music that they're programming in mind. So I mean, even some people, I'm not going to paint everybody to be criminal in this and with the intent, but it's a lot of adults that are not thinking. We hear about think before you speak. Well, what about thinking before you play music for youth?
And that's why, Brother Scotty, we just got to get the information out there, and enough people know. I mean, people getting on, I guess, the Beehive, they were saying, because people were comparing that same lyric that she mentioned that was aired. As a matter of fact, that is an FCC violation, and that station can be fined for playing that song like that. But for people getting on the Beehive for supporting Beyonce, playing a song like that, or making a song. Why do you even make a song like that? Why do you have to even say that in the song? And so I know, the Beehive may jump on me, but that's cool. But I don't know, but it's because it's out of control. But we got a lot of work to do, and man, we appreciate you. This is again Turn Off Killer Radio time. Turn it off. The people that you have influence over, ask them to turn it off. Yep. Join us as we demand. At the same time, we're asking the people to turn it off. Demand that these ratchet radio stations and their financiers, the commercial sponsors, stop buying commercials on these stations. We're in Atlanta on this coming Saturday, in New York, in Chicago, in Gary, in St. Louis, in Detroit. For more information, check us out at Clear the Airwaves Project. Also, email us at clearairwaves@gmail.com.
Before you go, Brother Kwabena, I want to give the caller, our last caller, did you have any closing remarks, sister?
The only thing I wanted to say was that I actually have turned off my radio for like this past several weeks, and I definitely will be passing it on since I heard you a few weeks back, but thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, sister.
Now, tell people some practical things to do. Let's just go through the list, because it might sound repetitious to some people, but repetition is good because they're repeatedly programming the youth with this type of stuff.
That's what they're doing. So,
right,
yeah.
That's what they're doing.
We want people to monitor, though, what their children are listening to. Right now, we're on this campaign to turn off killer radio, but we should have monitored what our children have been listening to for a while and get our heads out of the sand. And once you do that, you can file a complaint with the FCC. On the Clear the Airwaves Project page, we have that information. We also have that link that you talked about earlier from Now Protest that sends you directly to, takes your email and writes an email directly to the chairperson of the FCC, demanding that they follow their own policies of no indecent and profane content between the hours of 6 and 10, and no obscene content ever. So that's there. Join an organization like Rage Against the Ratchet, or Water Rhymes or Do Better Now or the Clear the Airwaves Project or the Committee to Eliminate Media Offensive to African People, and work with us to put an end to this mess. Economic sanctions on these corporations like we're doing with McDonald's and these other corporations who finance this madness on these radio stations. So those are just three things that the people can do. Oh, and call these stations. File complaints with them. They have to keep it on record. Those are three things that we can do. And again, work with us and talk to the children. The children give you the information. If you don't know the lyrics to these songs, ask the children. They'll tell you. They know it.
Yeah, and you can easily look up the lyrics to any song to a person. Yeah, so yeah. All right, Brother Kwabena, once again, great information. And again, the campaign is Turn Off Killer Radio, and you can hit them up by email at clearairwaves@gmail.com. You be safe behind these enemy lines, and don't forget to hit me up, man, so we work on that project so we can get secure communications for our activists out there.
We'll do that, and also for that support for this beautiful station, brother. We appreciate you, man. One love.
One love. Peace. All right, that was Brother Kwabena of Clear the Airwaves Project. We got about 5 minutes left. Let me clear the clear the caller's queue.
Q&A queue is cleared.
So again, Tando Radio Show is coming up at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on this Thursday evening, and at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time will be Blacks in Business Radio. So make sure you keep it locked right here on Black Talk Radio Network. Now, there's a couple of things that I wanted to share. It's really one story that I wanted to share, but it goes off into other stories. And this story is about, I came across this story being promoted by a person on, or being shared, I shouldn't say promoted, shared by a person on social media. And it's an article from USA Today, and it says nearly 7 in 10 Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. And so this particular person has, for quite some time, have just pointed out to black people that they poor in general. You know, of course, we got the individual Oprahs of the world, and then we have the multimillionaire professional athletes and actors and other professionals, even in corporate, in the corporate world, heading corporations. So I don't want to paint that all black people is poor, because that's not true. But there are a lot of poor people, and they're getting poorer, and people are falling out the middle class. Y'all have heard that before. So it's saying in terms of savings in their savings account, this is all Americans. You know, it's not, I'm not talking about at this point black Americans, but that person used this to say, see, I keep telling y'all that black people is poor. We ain't got no money. Okay, we get that. We get that. But why? Why? But this says that in terms of all Americans, people who are subject to the authority and pay taxes to, whether they want to or not, to USA Inc., nearly 7 in 10 of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. So just think about, put it in the context of Hurricane Matthew that just, ravaged the coastal areas of the United States, from Florida on up to North Carolina, and then it turned right and went back out to sea. And it left a lot of devastation and floods around. So do you imagine how quickly $1,000 could go? If that's all you had in your savings, $1,000 or less. It says 7 in 10 Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. So definitely that is not enough money to, quote unquote, tide you over or anything like that. And so Americans in general are doing pretty poorly, if this is accurate statistics. And so, but we know, just like if we take the unemployment rate, if they say that the unemployment rate, which is kind of manipulated, is never really as low as they say it is, and it doesn't mean that, oh, all these other people must have found jobs, and that's why they're no longer on the unemployment rolls and drawing an unemployment insurance check and what have you. That's not always the case. They, after a certain amount of time, drop off the roll. So in fact, the unemployment rate is going lower, but that doesn't necessarily mean that more people have become employed. So that we, again, have to point out these things, the way they manipulate things. But we're talking about the unemployment rate. I don't know what it is right now. I seen a report where they was bragging about how low it was, something like 5 point something percent, might have been lower. And so you usually have to triple that if you're talking about when you break down Americans into racial classifications. So for the black community, you got to triple that. And then if we're talking about black teenagers who might be looking for employment while school is out or on the weekend, and then many of them have to help bring money into the family because the family's in poverty. But it's even worse for them. Think that I've seen, not recently, but this year, I've seen reports as high as that unemployment rate being 50%, may have been 60%. So when we're talking about 7 out of 10 Americans have less than 1,000 in savings, without me even reading the article, I'm willing to take an educated guess and say that of those 70%, that possibly 60% are black. Definitely non-white. But I bet you the vast majority of them are non-white. And blacks are going to be disproportionately represented in this statistic. So I don't use these statistics to point out what black people ain't doing and how they ain't pulling themselves up by their bootstraps or any craziness like that. Okay, I'm not going to look at it like that, but it's pretty hard to save up money when America is Ferguson. And if you're unfamiliar with that term, it's a term that I think Yohanan or Max Parthis came up with on New Abolitionist Radio as we was looking at the Ferguson report from the Department of Justice. And it was breaking down how Ferguson, the city of Ferguson, in in partnership with the court system, it's all the same government, same municipality, was raising revenue off of mainly African Americans, black people, by writing tickets and fining them and jailing them, because then you got to pay bail and all of that. So it's pretty, when you are being targeted and losing that kind of money, it is hard to save. That's where your savings go. So it ain't cause black people is stupid, or I mean, it's many variables. It's never really simple unless we want to talk about ending slavery. Then that's pretty simple and straightforward. Let's end slavery. But when we look at the reasons why black people, which is the demographic that this radio station looks to serve, there are many reasons why they're poor, and it's not because they're lazy. It's not because, it could also, we know racism, workplace discrimination plays a role into it, where you got reports saying that a black person without a criminal record, and they apply for the same job as a white person with a criminal record, a white felon, that white felon, in the studies that they did, had a higher chance of getting hired than that black person without a criminal record. Not that I'm saying we should be holding people's criminal records, because I'm an abolitionist again. And we know black people are disproportionately affected, but that does point out racism and discrimination in hiring practices. It's a problem that's going to continue to go on, I suspect, for a very, very long time till we figure out that problem. But again, the story is talking about 7 out of 10 Americans don't have any savings. And I'm, again, willing to bet you that what plays in that variable for many black people in certain, we can't even say urban areas anymore, because Ferguson wasn't an urban area. It's like a rural area, like where I live, just outside of whatever, I think St. Louis, just like where I'm at is just outside of Charlotte. So it wasn't no urban area. It was a rural area where it was predominantly black people, and how they were preying on them and I think they was pulling $2 million a year out of those people. Is what that report said. In tickets, fines, in jail bail. So how can you save money? Are we talking about that? So again, slavery abolition, because all of this ticket writing, the criminalization of black people has always linked back to slavery. So I'm going to share some of that article when I come back on the other side. I'm running about 4 minutes late for a station identification break. Again, we're running up until about 5:50. So if you have any calls that you would like to add to this or share anything, 641-715-3660. The participant code is 549-032#. Hit star 6 and 1 to comment on air. The studio line is 704-951-5030. Again, BTRcommunity.com. It is a safe online digital space for black people. And I'm going to continue to talk about it because I think it's important. Not only is it a vehicle to help us build out independent black media, as we talk about, we don't really have any more ownership in these radio stations that we were talking about playing all this garbage. We don't have anything really to counter that. But the technology is there, and all it takes is a plan and the willpower and the funding, and we can combat that. Of course, we still want to make them adhere to the laws and the rules and regulations, but let's also not beg these white people and white-owned platforms and misguided black people. Let's not rely on them to do what's right and to produce music or play music that's going to produce justice, that's going to produce positivity, that's going to produce good vibrations through the terrestrial airwaves, those radio waves. We don't want that negativity going out there, but so we still need to have our own, and our people need to be, we talk about buying black, we need to be the media that we want to see. So check out BTRcommunity.com. That's a way for us to raise funds to build out that and also provide a safe digital space where we're not data mining you, selling off your information. You're not going to be hit with any kind of ads like that. And so please consider joining. You can also go to blacktalkmediaproject.org or blacktalkradionetwork.com. Number of donate buttons. Cop the Black Radio Station Matters t-shirt with a $25 or more donation as a free gift. You'll also get the monthly statistical reports that we send out on the station performance, the social media performance, how many people we're reaching through the enemies platforms. And as well as daily podcasts, podcasts that we're distributing through blacktalkradionetwork.com, all the downloads and the different platforms that also we distribute the podcast through. So you get those reports for a donation of any amount for the calendar year. So we just don't tell you what we hope to do or anything like that. We try to show you what we're doing, what our media operations are able to do with the budget that we do have. All right, so take a station identification break, and then we come back on the other side. I'll take a look at the phone lines, but I first want to share that article about 7 out of 10 Americans having less than $1,000 in savings in their account. Listen to Black Talk Radio, providing you with new black media for the new millennium. We'll be right back.
Marcus Mosiah Garvey once said, "The greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization." If you believe it is finally time to organize, if you believe black people should have their own political party and understand the importance of block voting, but more importantly, understand and want to practice organized group economics, then you need to join the 1 million conscious contributors and voters. The founders of this organization hold firm to their belief that there are at least 1 million black people, or 2 out of every 100 black persons in this country, who have the best interests of black people collectively foremost in their mind. Are you one of the 2? If so, please visit the 1 million conscious contributors and voters website at IamOneOfTheMillion.com and be sure to join them for their national convention in Atlanta, October 21st through the 23rd, 2016. IamOneOfTheMillion.com.
And welcome back to Black Talk Radio News. Scotty Reed in on this broadcast from behind these enemy lines that I call USA Inc. So this story is coming to you from USA Today. Act like it's want to load up a video, so we might hear a video, y'all. I hate it when they start up automatically. Okay, you want to check out the link I have posted it to btrcommunity.com. I shared it there, and it's really just an infographic, real short video, so you can't see what they're saying, so it's no sense in me even playing it. But this is on usatoday.com in their money section, and it says that, let me just expand my browser here. America's spend first mentality is a genuine concern. So they're going to blame the people. It seems like that's what the editors are doing. The U.S. is often referred to as the land of economic opportunity. Apparently, it's also the land of consumption and spend everything you got. We don't have to look far for confirmation that Americans are generally poor savers. Every month, the St. Louis Federal Reserve releases data on personal household savings rates. You know, I'm going to stop it right there. This Federal Reserve, well, really it's the U.S. government, because the Federal Reserve is a private entity that charges the American taxpayer interest for that paper money that got all those racist white slavers on it that's, you know, been dead about 100 years or so. So the Federal Reserve, they should be happy people with spending like that and going into debt, because that's how they make their money. So, but you don't want to do that. And we've talked about the media and how it makes you consume. That's why they invented Christmas. That's why they invented St. Valentine's Day. That's why the diamond companies come up promoting like diamonds are rare and put a ring on it, a diamond ring on it, you know, to cause you to spend money that you don't need, you know, that you don't have to. So, but anyway, let's get to some of the statistics. That's what I'm trying to find. Last year, Go Banking Rate surveyed more than 5,000 Americans, only to uncover that 62% of them had less than 1,000 in savings. Last month, Go Banking Rates again posed the question to Americans on how much they had in their savings account. Only this time, it asked 7,052 people. The result, nearly 7 in 10 Americans, 69%, had less than 1,000 in their savings account. Breaking the survey data down a bit further, we find that 34% of Americans don't have a dime in their savings account, while another 35% have less than 1,000, or the remaining survey takers, 11% have between 1,000 and 5,000. 4% have between 5,000 and 10,000, and 15% have more than 10,000. Furthermore, even though lower income adults struggle with saving money more than middle and upper income folks, no income group did particularly well. Some 29% of adults earning more than 150,000 a year and 44% making between 100,000 and 150,000 had less than 1,000 in savings. So what they have done is tied up their money in a stock market or in a 401k somewhere. That's why what they're doing, they're gambling, and that's why they don't have they have less than 1,000. That's what my educated guess on it. Now, last thing, comparatively, 73% of the lowest income adults, those earning 25,000 or less annually, I think that's the federal poverty rate level, had less than 1,000 in their savings account. Not seeing where they broke it down by the U.S. government's racial classification, the system of slavery's racial classifications. So I would have to go to the actual study and drill down in the data. Just because it's not on USA Today, well, they could have decided to leave that part out. But I'm willing to bet you, though, just based off of past reports, we know that disproportionately that 70%, that 7 out of 10 Americans will disproportionately be African American or black or non-white in general. I'm willing to bet you. So some of the things that might be impacting why people of that demographic, the black demographic, and why they're not able to save money, well, there are some other things I would like people to consider. Remember when the NYPD had their work stoppage, they went on strike because they was angry at the mayor, and I think it was after those two NYPD slave catchers got assassinated by that guy allegedly from Baltimore. I haven't even heard, oh yeah, that's right, he killed himself, they say. But right after that, and then I think video or the mayor de Blasio said something about having a talk with his son, his black son, about NYPD slave catchers or slave catchers in general. And that leaked out I don't know if he had leaked out or if he said it in the speech. And he was trying to empathize with the black voters and say, hey, I feel your pain. You know, a Bill Clinton moment. And so, but they went on strike for, I think, a week. And they, in the city of New York, lost $10 million. Now, one of the articles I found said arrests plummeted 66%. So crime was actually down. See, a lot of it is nonviolent, victimless stuff they codified to be called crime so they could use as instruments of enslavement. But they lost 10 million. I'm willing to, if I recall correctly, at least 10 million for that week. Well, then, who do you think that $10 million, whose pockets and bank accounts was you thinking that was coming from? The majority of that 10 million. Well, we know who they were stopping and frisking and writing the majority of the tickets. We know from audio tapes who the police commanders were telling the slave catchers on patrol who to target. There's another article that was written by The Atlantic, and I think it was in 2014 that I shared in BTR community on the same thread. Ferguson hosts a Fortune 500 firm, so why was it relying on fines and fees? I don't even have to read the rest of the article. It could be a number of things. Perhaps those politicians told this big corporation you could come here tax-free for 20 years or something. You know, gave them the Trump deal that Trump would got for losing money. And I know like here in state of North Carolina and other states, they use that as an incentive. Oh, come bring these jobs to our community and you don't have to pay taxes. And so then also we got greed, and then people do things because they evil and just because they can. And we know for whatever crazy reason, predominantly the people in power in these elected, not appointed, but elected positions were white. And as it turned out, white racists, confirmed by their patterns and practices against the black people. This is not me. This is not my words. This is from the Department of Justice. And they was pulling out about $2 million a year out of that rural community. Probably less than 10,000 people. Maybe, I don't know how big Ferguson is. So consider that when you want to talk about why black people is poor, or if you want to say they don't pay taxes, because this is slave catching and tax collecting is what these slave patrollers do. It's all about generating revenue. And they, not to say it don't happen to non-black people, and it don't happen to white people in certain areas. I've seen evidence of that here in North Carolina, but who is it happening to predominantly? But before a black person want to keep reminding black people that they poor and they don't have any money, so let's stop pretending like we have a lot of money. You know, I just don't think that's constructive. Let's talk about why they don't have any money. In this nation giving away trillions every year to all these other nations, so, you know, but don't want to pay the descendants of enslaved Africans and the descendants of free black people for terrorism, hundreds of years of terrorism and slavery that's still ongoing. So those are just my thoughts on that. Well, we got to wrap it up so I can reset our YouTube live stream. Tando Radio Show is coming up here in 8 minutes. So definitely want to stay tuned and check out Brother David's show. That show, Tando Radio Show, is about preparedness. It is about reporting to you global events, but reporting those news events and global events and war moves being made, that's to get people to prepare and then provide them with information on how to prepare. So definitely worth you sticking around and staying tuned in for that live program. And then again at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern tonight is Blacks in Business Radio. So my name is Scotty Reed, and I'm going to sign off from these airways. And I just hope that you have considered everything that we discussed here today, and whatever problem or whatever skills you have, if you could use those skills, if you could use your connections to help us, because there's just so many war fronts in this war, different areas for people to join a campaign and focus their energy on that. And let others, you know, deal with where their strong suits are and whatnot. But it's going to take a mass effort, and let's just increase those numbers. All right. Peace and blessings to all, and be safe out there. Don't make it easy for these slave catchers. Peace.